so forth over the last almost year, actually, now. But then I read Thomas Allen's book, Christ Triumphant, and Allen was a very good patristic scholar and historian, and I found what he said in it in relation to historical events quite compelling, not from the standpoint of exegesis, but just from the standpoint of just straight out surprise, I suppose. I hadn't realized before I fully embraced universal reconciliation, I was kind of a fence sitter. I was kind of torn between annihilationism and some kind of partial larger hope. And it was only when I realized how widespread the belief in the larger hope was, or even apocatesis, full restoration, that I realized the extent to which that influence had permeated through the whole church. So yeah, I think initially I wasn't particularly aware of it in maybe the first 150 years, or certainly the first 100 years of church history. And one of the reasons for that was because there had been so little specific research done on the data that we have and the documents that we have in relation to that time. But Ilaria Ramelli's book disabused me of that notion when I read that a year or two ago. And
yes.
So in this most recent edition of the book, I've incorporated a lot of the information I've gleaned from her, and also her notes, which are copious throughout her book. I've basically written synopsis of all the stuff she writes. I've quoted her a few times, but mainly it's just an abbreviation and reference so that people can explore it more if they wish. Contextually, I think for me, this definitely is a lesser a subject of lesser importance compared to the rest of the book. However, I think, like all anecdotal and historical data, it's probably more interesting than straight out exegesis. I think exegesis can become very tiresome and very difficult to follow, I think, for a person who's not well versed in it or is not particularly orientated towards that sort of thing. So